What is up, everybody? Uh, I made it. Just a little, just a little disclaimer for today. The whole side of my face is still numb. I had to go to the dentist, so it feels weird as shit when I talk. I can't like move the side of my mouth. So, a little weird today. But we are going to try to put some paint on this pig. Wow, I haven't talked since I went there. I didn't realize how bad it was. Blah 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 blah. But yeah, I had to go to the dentist early today, so that's why we're kind of starting late. Kind of feel like crap, super tired, and I can't feel my face, so so we're gonna try to make the best of it today. As I assume a lot of you know, we've been working on Sir Pigglesby here, and as you can see, we've got him sanded down pretty good. Looks pretty smooth overall. Looks pretty good. This, for the most part, doesn't look like a 3D printed part. You can see it obviously is inside. But we did 2 rounds of filler primer and sanding, and I'm afraid I want to bite my lip. I can't feel it at all. 2 rounds of filler primer and sanding, and then after that all dried and stuff, I did a very light coat of just like super cheap Walmart flat white paint. And I can see there's a couple spots on here. I have some 400 grit sandpaper that I want to real briefly, just not even really sand, just scuff over some of these areas to get rid of some little bumps. There was a little piece of dust or two that stuck in the paint, but nothing too severe here. And then we're going to use an airbrush and actually put some pink on him. I was debating on doing some, like maybe do him white with black spots or something kind of unique. But I think for this first go around, I want to just keep it simple. More or less try to get like a feel for finishing prints using like the primer and airbrush and stuff, because I haven't really done that before. So going to keep it pretty straightforward. I have his ears here as well. These are glued to a box for handling. I did, if anyone follows me on Twitter, I did print out the helmet. This is the helmet piece, and it fits on here quite nicely. It's got 2 little indents to kind of register the position of it. You can see his helmet and stuff. The ears do have to be placed after the helmet. I know we had kind of talked about whether or not that was the case, but that is definitely the case. The ears stick out too far. I don't want to pull them off the box, but you can see they nest in those holes and arc out. So you could probably get away with having one of them in place, but not both. It'd be impossible to get the helmet on. So we'll have to finish these separately and then, assemble them when we're all finished. My experience with those things, the numb face, 2-3 hours. Well, yeah, unfortunately it was about 3 hours ago, so I'm still pretty numb. Suggestions for an airbrush. I'm using the, this is the G233 Master. I think this was like a $30 airbrush kit, and I like it. I think it's totally fine for like a beginner. I know there's a lot of people that recommend you get like a better one, but for me, this thing seems to work great, so I don't really have any complaints about it. And then the compressor is also a Master, and it's like $100. I forget what model it is. It doesn't actually have any markings on it. It works fine. It was getting really hot at first, but it's because I was running like a way higher pressure than I really needed to. But there, like, it has a quick connect. Pretty nice airbrush. I really don't have any complaints about it. I mean, it might be the case that when I use a nicer one or a higher end one, that I'll look back on this one and be like, yeah, it was bad in this way and this way and this way, but for now it seems fine. It needs cleaned a little bit. I haven't cleaned it as well as I should as I use it, but overall still works pretty good. I also haven't gotten to use it as much as I'd like to. I'm just going to take a minute here. I'm taking some Q-tips with some alcohol. Apparently a lot of alcohol. Spill it everywhere. And cleaning these tips out a little bit. Because the last time I used it, I had to put it away in kind of a hurry. Zombie Pigglesby. You could do him in some unique kind of color schemes. It would be interesting to see him in that way. All right, just getting this cleaned up a little bit. Seems all right. We're going to run a little bit of water through it. I've been running this about 25 PSI seems about right. Not too easy. I like somebody should do a zombie version. It'd be pretty cool to see. I'm gonna run a tiny bit of water through this to make sure working all right. Seems to be. Seems to be fine. So, for the colors, I have some of the Vallejo Airline, and I have this squid pink, it's called, and I think this is going to be like our final color, but we want to start with something a little bit lighter and work up to that. And I have this, it's called Warlord Purple. That's not actually an airbrush paint, and it's actually an older Vallejo paint that I have. And we're going to try to use this if we can thin it enough. And we'll use that as our base coat to start like a little bit darker and then work the highlight areas up to that light pink. But we're going to try not to mix colors too much so we can keep the color consistent across the entire model. So we'll go ahead and start with that. I do want to sand these ears really quickly. Again, not really sanding them so much as just running this 400 grit across them. Get a few little like dust particles and stuff out of that primer layer of white. So they're nice and smooth. But overall they look good, I think. And since this is flesh, like a little bit of a texture on it won't at all look odd. Since this is pig skin. So we're going to take this purple. This is the Warlord Purple. Purple. Did you look into our website yet? What website is that, random guy? So this stuff is kind of thick. I'm actually going to... We're going to take the cap off of this and put some of this, it's actually airbrush thinner, but it's just acrylic thinner. We're going to put some of this in there and shake this up. Hopefully loosen it up a little bit. Oops. Because I do want to use this color if we can get away with it. Glory Hole Foundation. I did not, unfortunately. I have like so little time to do anything. I have so much stuff I have to do. So I do apologize. It's like today. Today was already like a tight schedule, and then I ended up having to go to the dentist for like 3 hours, which was not a very productive usage of my time. And then like today's stream, I don't have anywhere near as much time as I'd like to have. So even like having to F with this paint is kind of not ideal. So I got my little acupuncture needle from my Prusa kit. We're going to clean that hole out a bit. And hopefully this is okay enough to use, and then we'll thin it in the brush. I don't know if you can see that. But we're going to get it in the pot there, and then that's not terrible. It's not good, but we'll try to make do with it. I think it's clogging a bit in the cap. And I don't have a paper towel in hand. Let me grab a paper towel before this gets too damn messy. I think we're just going to push this out of the pot itself. Because we did thin the bulk of the paint, but that cap's a little plugged up. Let's get a bit of that in there. That's not really as thin as we'd like it, so we're going to have to thin this down quite a bit. Yeah, this paint's kind of old. I apologize. Because of the charity stream. What's the charity for, man? I think I asked that before, and I don't think I ever... Either you responded and I didn't see it, or you didn't respond. This is more like a paste than a paint. Hopefully it goes through the brush okay. Thin that a good bit. And then I'm also using this Airbrush Flow Improver, which improves the flow, not surprisingly. That's what I kind of thought. Yeah, it's not ideal, Earl, but we got it pretty thin. That's actually not bad. So I think it'll be all right. All right, let me get... see, this is where I need an airbrush station, little stand thing. Shit, I need to get up again. I moved my glove box. I'm going to take my wedding ring off, do this as a single man. Because it doesn't fit in the gloves all that well. And these are just, I've had people ask, these are just black nitrile gloves. I have like a minor latex allergy, so these work a lot better. For me, personally. Plus, they don't have a powder on the inside, which I hate. Okay, so let's get our stuff situated here. So here's Mr. Pigglesby's, oh god, I can't talk. Pigglesby's face. It's being finished. Very cool, man. So we're gonna lay this kind of darker pink. I know it almost looks orange in there for some reason, but this is the darker kind of purplish pink color. And we're gonna lay a base down on the face and ears with this, and then come back and build up all the high areas with this. It's actually called squid pink, and it's actually like a rosy kind of normal pink color. So we'll lay it on light here, just to see how this paint flows, since it is kind of not ideal for airbrushing. Seems to be going on quite nice, actually. So we'll go a little thicker. Try to get this covered. He definitely already kind of looks like a pig. even just like a little hint of pink on there. And it's starting to look kind of legit. Luckily, I think this is like the perfect color. And it's just kind of happenstance that I had this from another project. So it's kind of cool that this combination of pinks looks like it's going to work out nice. But I think this will be pretty straightforward to paint. Sorry if I'm not keeping that centered. I need to keep an eye on the camera a little bit. Looking smooth. Yeah, it came out pretty good overall. Like you can see, it's going to look pretty pleasant. I think the armor is going to be a little bit more of a challenge to get smooth than the head and ears, just because there's a lot more kind of detail and areas that are going to be a little bit tougher to deal with than all these big smooth areas on this face. But now I can tell this part's going to be pretty easy. And luckily, the top color, the one that is actually going to be the most visible, should go on really nice because that's an actual airbrush color. And that paint is pretty new. I've only had that for about a month, maybe. So it should flow nice. But I know, like, we sliced all these files in that one stream. I actually went back and, like this armor, I re-sliced this at a slightly lower layer height. You can see it looks shiny, but as far as, like, the layer lines, it's actually pretty good overall. And I went back and sliced that, because we had done most of it at 0.2 millimeters. And I went back and did it all at 0.15, just to hopefully save us some work. On the sanding side, because I think it's going to be a bit of work to get that anywhere near as smooth as this. So the big thing with this color is we want to focus on all the crevices and make sure that they're covered nice and darkened up nice. Because all these flat areas we're gonna build back up to that lighter pink color. So the most important thing is getting all the areas that we want to have a little bit of contrast on with this dark color. Like we want to make sure we get in his lips and stuff here. All these creases. Like in his eye socket. But I can't lie, I'm kind of nervous about doing this because I'm still like a total amateur with the airbrush. And I'm just hoping this like turns out nice. Even in the little airbrushing I've done, I haven't done anything like near this big. Though it seems pretty straightforward so far. But no, already he looks pretty cool. I mean, obviously we're a little darker here, light on the cheek and stuff, and we'll try to blend that out so we don't have any goofiness with our top coat. But I mean, honestly, even if we just do the face like this and leave it, I think it would look pretty sweet with the. Which camera is closest to the actual pink? Like, on this screen, for me, this actually looks fairly accurate. It doesn't seem to be quite as wonky with this pink as it is with the orange. But I've noticed even my DSLR, it doesn't seem to register the oranges like as accurate as it does other colors. I don't know if that's common with cameras. If I want more of the Prusa silver, it's Rapunzel Silver by Filamentum. You have to check that out. I gotta say, like, this was printed in the eSun. I finally got some of the eSun. This is their PLA Plus. This stuff prints great. I was really surprised. I guess I should do some tests, but this seems to print more dimensionally accurate than any of the other PLA I've had. Because I actually had to resize some of the spinners that I printed with it. And when I measured them, the ones that were printed in the PLA Plus were actually dimensionally more accurate than all of the other types of PLA that I printed the spinners with. I don't know if there's anything to that, or if there's like something else that's going on that's responsible for that, but the fit of all the components in those spinners and stuff, because I'm doing the ones with I don't have one here, but I'm using the steel balls for the outside weights instead of 3 extra bearings, and I had to resize all those from the other ones I did in the AIO. I printed them in the AIO. I had a little bit of the atomic gunmetal left that I did one in, and I did one in the Protopasta Everyday PLA, which I don't know if anybody noticed that. Is it the case that Protopasta stopped making their natural PLA? I actually went to order some more, and I couldn't find it on their website. I don't know if they took it down because they're out of stock, or if they quit making it. Because I actually liked printing with that. I kind of like printing with the natural PLAs. I don't know if anybody knew about what was going on there. I know this is totally off topic, but it's really been on my mind lately. Has anyone in chat ever heard of HEMA? Historical European Martial Arts? Is there anybody here that does that? Like I say, I know it's totally off topic, but I think I'd like to try to get a group together in my area. And I was curious if anyone had any experience with that while we were here chatting. Looks like we're about due for some more paint here. Yeah, I think we're due for a little more paint and a little bit more thinning. But overall, that looks pretty cool, I gotta say. Especially this side. This side's actually kind of shaded where the dark areas are a little bit darker. And it already looks kind of like organic. I know that's a weird angle I'm holding it at, but like I said, even if we'd only do it like that, I think that looks pretty sweet. I'm pretty pumped. There's a HEMA club in Prague. Oh, I would imagine the club size would be fairly small. Yeah, Earl, I had a feeling you would have had some experience with something related. But, like, jiu-jitsu's fairly big in our area. Like, I used to do jiu-jitsu on a regular basis, but kind of ran out of the free time. And I miss something like that. Like, I miss doing martial arts. It's something that people that don't do it don't understand, but getting beat up a little bit on a regular basis is a good thing, I think. It's invigorating. Makes you feel alive. But I've been totally getting into watching like HEMA tournaments lately. I think I'd like to do it. Try to stick with it for like 10 years or so. All right, so we're gonna squirt some more of this paint paste in here and try and get it thinned out. This is not what you're looking for as far as consistency for paint, but like I said, I think this color was close enough that I think it's worth messing with a little bit to get this paint to work out. So we're going to load some in here and then thin the hell out of it. But no, I was just interested because I think I have a couple of people that would be willing to put a moderate amount of money up to help get a club started. And I just think it'd be sweet to do that and start going to tournaments and stuff. Because there's a place in Virginia that does it, but it's like a 2.5 hour drive for me, and I just couldn't do that every week. But, okay, so we thinned it up pretty good. I know the light's kind of bad here. I'm trying to bubble that. That is still a little on the thick side. Because going a little too thin isn't a real big deal, I think. Get this stirred up as best we can. Okay, that's not bad. Go a little bit thinner. That should be about right. And then I also have this alcohol Q-tip here still. I'm just going to wipe the tip. And hopefully we're good to go. Seems to be flowing nicely again. Okay, let's get the rest of this base coat on. We'll get a light coat on the ears and stuff. Get this nose covered. Some of these sockets won't matter where the ears set in, but we do at least want to get the edge. So we don't have a weird kind of color transition there. Because I think what we're going to end up doing is when we get this base coated, we're going to use some blue tack to tack these ears into place. That way we can airbrush the top coat over top of them so that the color transitions kind of, make sense together. I don't think it's really going to be that big of a deal, but so we want to do the best we can. Unfortunately, there was a little scuff in the white there. You can see above his eye there's a dark spot. I don't really know the easiest way to deal with that. We're getting a little bit of clogging with this paint, unfortunately. Yeah, I think we got a little bit of a clog here. Damn it. I was kind of afraid of this, and it's not surprising given the consistency of that paint. So we're going to take a little bit of water on a Q-tip and try to clean this tip off. Lesson learned, we probably shouldn't have used this paint. Or maybe squeeze that out into another bottle and tried to thin it out, outside of the airbrush. Because it seems plenty thin in there, but that seems better. It seems better. Hopefully we can get by. We don't have too much more to do, so hopefully we can get by. We did get a couple speckles there, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll smooth some of those out. Plus, it just has a couple freckles. We can tell people we did that on purpose to make it look nice and organic. He's got some minor melanoma on his chin. Yeah, I think we've got a problem, unfortunately. Damn it! Why did I use this paint? Why doesn't anybody stop me? why are like chat? I need your assistance here. I need some oversight. That seems to be a little better. Hopefully we can just like rush through this and get this color one without too many splatters and too much chaos. All right, we don't have to worry about the top of the head. I don't want to put the helmet on there so we don't, scuff this paint because it's a little fragile until it dries and, we get it sealed a little bit. But the helmet comes down clear across, like, this area, real close to his eyes, and then down the sides, so it's really just the front of the face that we're concerned with. Yeah, we do. Damn it, I don't want to have to clean this thing out. But I'm kind of thinking we need to. Oh, let's do it. Damn it. Because I don't want to end up getting speckles all over this guy, making him look crappy. So, we'll clean this pot out. It's always something. Always something around here. And this isn't a day where I'm, like, in the mood to deal with this crap. Honestly, my face hurts. So run some water through this. I think we just had a little bit of like thick paint in the bottom of that, in the bottom of our cup. Because it seems fine again already. Seems fine again already. So what should we do? I guess we should work... Let this sit. I think the brush is okay again. We'll let that kind of chill there. And we're going to take this pot and put a bunch of thinner in it, and then we're going to stir it with one of these Q-tips that we broke off. That way, hopefully any of the paint that makes it to our brush then will be thin. Because I think we were just getting some of that thicker paint down near the needle inside the airbrush, and it was causing problems. Red Bull, and yeah. The Red Bull has been a lifesaver today. Though they almost canceled my appointment because my blood pressure was high. And they didn't want to give me anesthesia. Because they took it one time and they're like, that's a little elevated. And I told the nurse, I was like, that's actually low for me. That's actually lower than I would have expected it to be given the circumstances. And she's like, well, we'll give you a minute to calm down. This is going to be a mess, but we're not going to put the tip back on. So they gave me a few minutes to calm down and then took it again, and it was like 30% higher. Little bit thinner. Man, that one was like really thick. Kind of surprised it was that bad. But this should be good after this. We're actually using liquid paint now instead of a paste medium. Did you see Earl's advice? I did not. Was it about the simple green? Yeah, I'll do that this time, Earl, the flow improver first. Because, like, I'm the first to admit I'm, like, a total amateur with the brush. So we'll try to get all of this old paint out of here. Run a tiny little bit of water through this. It seems to be fine again. I know you can't really see that on the stream, but seems to be fine. So we'll start with the flow improver. Bit of that in there. And then our paint, which is fairly thin now. So I think we'll be good from here on out. The paint. Oh. That should be plenty. Paint's quite a bit thinner. Still needs thinned a bit for use in the brush. But seems significantly better this time around. Much better. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Back on track. A little bit of Red Bull. All right. Oh, that's much better. We're painting again. Okay. So we'll get this on. We'll be pretty quick about it. I don't think airbrushes are tough to use in general, but like I can, it's easy to see already that they're one of those items that will kind of punish you if you don't treat them right. Like most things, I learned that the hard way. Make sure we get his eyes nice and dark. I wish I could cover that spot up a little bit better. I know it's probably a little tough to see on cam. There's that little dark spot above his eye. And I wish I could cover that up a little bit better. But I think trying to cover it with this paint would take quite a few coats. So we won't worry about it too much. I think even with like the imperfections and stuff, this is still going to look pretty cool. And we'll get his snout. We'll try to get in those holes as best we can. Tell you one thing, when I bought an airbrush like a month and a half ago, I never thought it'd be airbrushing the nostrils of a pig face. Can tell you that. Alright, I think we pretty much got him. I'll get a couple of these light spots here just so we don't have issues like blending on the next coat. And I want to try to get this edge as best I can because I don't really know how much of this is covered by the subsequent pieces. The nice thing about airbrushing is, like, even if we seal this, once we're happy with the appearance, and we have to come back and adjust the colors, it's actually pretty easy to just, like, airbrush over the sealer and then seal it again. So it's kind of kind of forgiving in that way. Yeah, we kind of want to work in some of these dark areas where we want a little contrast. All right, I think that's pretty much it for the face. I think that's a pretty good coat. Obviously, we didn't get this. This will be a glue area up there on top, so that doesn't matter. And I think everything else, I guess we should make a point to get these eye areas from a few different angles. In case the eyeballs don't fit super tight, that way we don't have any weird, like, white showing through. But overall, I think it looks pretty cool. Pig face. Alright, so we're going to set this to the side. One that's back. And then move the stuff out of the way. Add a little bit more thinner to this. Just so it doesn't thicken up on us. And like I said earlier, I have the ears actually glued to this box with just some super glue. So we're going to put a base on those as well. Real quick here. See, our paint's still flowing quite nice, which is kind of surprising. Looks like a peep. Yeah, kinda. It's definitely a like similar color. So we're gonna make sure we get down in the ear holes there. These luckily don't take too much to get paint on. Big smooth shapes, no areas that are too difficult to get to. I got a little bit of speckling there. I think it was my fault. The only thing I kind of regret is hitting some of those areas with sandpaper, because we basically sanded through that white undercoat, and it gives us some areas that are a little hard to cover up because they're dark. And airbrush coats are super, super thin. It's not like when you brush acrylics on, where you can actually like cover some things with them. These go on essentially transparent. So it's a little unforgiving if you have like inconsistencies in the layer that this paint's going to go on. It's not very good at covering stuff up. You're due for a tip rake, Nilla. Yeah. Cuz I don't have like what you were suggesting. The tip looks okay. I think I thinned this to the point where it's not building up too bad. But yeah, I definitely need to improve like my procedures with my airbrush and stuff. Like I said, I had planned on using it at least once a week, and I just haven't gotten a chance to. I haven't really developed my skills with it as much as I would like to have by this point in time. And unfortunately, with a baby on the way, it's gonna get worse before it gets better as far as like schedule. I'm just hoping this baby's easier than the first one. Our daughter like cried for the first year and a half of her life, basically. I mean, it wasn't literally all the time, but man, it was a lot. She was not a happy baby. I think we're pretty close to good on these. And sorry, I'll catch up on chat here as soon as I get these done. We can chat a bit while I'm changing colors. With the white undercoat, this came out much like brighter and pinker than I was expecting this color to. I was expecting it to be a little more red. But it's good that it's more pink than I was expecting. But yeah, this is like super pink. This almost looks like candy. Those ear holes. The trick to blending is adding color to your existing pot during the process. Yeah, I agree. Like, we're not going to completely clean this pot out. I'm going to dump the bulk of the paint out and then mix this lighter pink in. And we'll go ahead and do that now. I think we're good. I think we're good on these coats. I don't think there's anything I want to hit on this guy before I change. Get these eye areas again. I kind of wish we could do... Oh, I almost got a run there. Shooting that nostril too hard. I wish we could do it with the helmet on, like so I could have the ears in place and take the helmet on and off, because I'd kind of like to leave it darker under, you know, almost like a shadow for the helmet. but I don't think there's really like a practical way to do that given the way the print's kind of designed. It is for his daughter. Yeah, it's kind of just like a project that I wanted to do because I've been looking to do a larger kind of like ongoing project. But yeah, I'll definitely be giving this to my daughter when it's finished. In hindsight, I can definitely see the appeal of just printing this in like the various colors that you want it to be. It'd be a hell of a lot less work. Um, yeah, a lot less work. If you just like print at a finer setting, like actually take something like this down to 0.1 and print it in like your silver and print this in like a pink. Because I have like that purple's actually not. I guess it would look funny. A purple pig would look funny, but no, I would recommend to people if you don't want to do a bunch of work to just maybe buy a sample pack of like filament and print it that way. Oh, hey, Luis. I didn't see you there. Yeah, thanks. The new baby. It's gonna be an interesting experience. I feel like because our daughter's like 2.5, I feel like our sleep schedule has just started to get back to normal, and here we go again. So we got a moderate amount of this pink in there. I'm gonna add a few drops of flow improver to that, and a tiny little bit of thinner. Though this Vallejo Air doesn't need thinned a whole lot, but we want to have these layers be thin and build them up. But here we go. I'm interested to see how this goes. Next couple passes will make it bacon. Hopefully this looks cool. We're gonna find out together. So here we go. Here's Pigglesby's kind of neon bright pink face, and we're gonna hopefully bring it up to this lighter pink that looks a little bit more like excuse me, you'd expect like a pig's flesh to look like. You can see it's just a little bit lighter. And we're going to try to keep this subtle initially. Maybe we'll start on his chin. We want to build this up kind of slowly, mainly because I'm inexperienced. We definitely thinned that. This is going on super thin. For sure. It's almost imperceptible at first. But I think I'd rather take this slow than to do something I regret. There, we're starting to build up a little bit. It's very subtle. It actually looks a little more pronounced on camera than it does to me. I have to keep spraying my glove to confirm that color's even coming out. It is very, very thin, and I guess this is a lighter color going over a darker color, so it's a little slower to cover it up. There we go. This is not spraying terribly smooth, actually. I think I probably need to clean the tip a bit. Okay. Q-tips. Let me get a Q-tip here. Backflow that a bit. There we go. Yeah, I'm sure like somebody like Earl would probably be much better at painting this than I am. But we'll try to do a good job here. We'll try to get this underside looking about like we want it, and then start working out from there. Try to get a little bit of a feel for how this is going to go. Just isn't quite flowing like I'd hope. It's a little erratic. But you can see we're getting more to like a nice subtle organic pink, as opposed to like neon pink. Again, we'll try to do this area where it's a little safe because the helmet's going to cover this. So if we make any mistakes here, it's not the end of the world. Getting there. I'm probably going a lot slower than someone who had experience would be doing this. So I wouldn't take this this experience as a good example of how fast you can airbrush something. And we are trying to, like, these eye areas, I do want to try to, like, spray this down across the eye to let some natural shadowing happen, as opposed to spraying straight in there like we did with the base, that base color. It'll kind of subtly make the high areas a little bit lighter than the lower areas. Alright, we're getting him slowly. Slowly and surely. I'm so nervous when I do this stuff. I feel more comfortable painting robots. Yeah, this was who asked? Paulo. Yeah, this was 2 rounds of filler primer and sanding. And this was originally printed at 0.2 millimeter layer height. And it wasn't like a ton of work, but it did take a little bit of time and effort to get him sanded down. It's in, if you look on my channel, it's actually on the last stream we did. The stream from Tuesday is when we actually did the first round of filling and sanding. So we're going to try to bring the nose up the whole way to this light pink, and then work back across the face, I think, and try to get the color nice and consistent. Because the edge of his nose here and the edge of his lip, I think, should be some of the lightest areas on the face. And work across his other eye. And then we'll hit the ears a little bit, and then, like I said, kind of tack them in place so we can make sure the color transition here is kind of reasonable. Though I think it's going to be fairly forgiving, since the ear transitions are kind of covered by the helmet and stuff. So I don't think it's super critical. Try to get this pink nice and consistent across here. I know in the camera there's a bit of shadowing and stuff, so it makes it look like there's slightly different colors in places where there really aren't different colors. Yeah, like Aspy's saying, we're basically trying, like the eyes and stuff especially, I'm trying to spray down across them, so it kind of ends up having the paint lay sort of like lightwood down across the model. It won't be, I don't know, it won't be super apparent on this particular piece, but on a lot of pieces it does make a pretty big difference. Especially like smaller stuff. I think we're pretty close to being where we want to be as far as color. I'm going to bring these cheeks up a little bit. Make sure they're coated nice and light. But overall, it looks pretty cool, I gotta say. Cool little pig. And then again, just try to get this color nice and consistent across all these areas. The sheen is a tiny little bit different in different areas, but that's something, I think that's pretty much it. I think that's something that the sealer and stuff will help make more consistent. But you can see it's still a little bit dark in the eyes. I don't want to go down in the corners there too much and fix that. Leave a little bit of contrast. But yeah, he looks like a pig. Overall, I left a little bit of contrast in some of these folds and stuff, so didn't get real tight in along his lip line and stuff to leave it a little bit darker. To do a pie, what's a piebald? I had considered doing like something different, like maybe like a white flesh with black spots that we'd mask off, but I just don't feel comfortable enough with the airbrush yet to do anything too crazy. So maybe in your next model, Luis, when you do like an armored puma or something, maybe we'll do that with him. Splotch Patterns is piebald. Yeah, okay. That's what I figured. That would definitely be cool, but I just wanted to keep it fairly simple and straightforward, since I'm still kind of like learning. I don't want to bite off a little more than I can chew and end up getting terrible results. So I'm a little unsure of how I want to do the colors in the ears exactly, because I know the insides should probably be a little bit darker than the outsides. But again, like I'm a super noob with the airbrush, so maybe we'll bring the basically the whole ear up to this light pink, and then go back and kind of subtly darken the inside areas. I don't honestly know what the best way of going about it would be. So has anybody won any of these giveaways that's going on? I know there's a lot of 3D printing channels that are doing giveaways lately, particularly with See Me CNC. They seem to be hitting the scene pretty hard with free printers for some publicity. I didn't know if anybody was lucky enough to win any. I got to be honest, I entered in basically all the giveaways that I saw, hoping to get my second printer. These are actually tough to see. My lighting's actually not ideal in here for this. Like, I have 3 directions that are lit well, and then kind of from behind my right shoulder, it's not lit that well, so I got a bunch of shadows. Because I think I have these covered, but at the same time, I can't really tell. Oh, missed the tip on that guy. Alright, they don't look too bad. They look pink. They definitely look pink on the camera. I think we got them there. I was just... Robo. I was just going to say that the printer I see the most questions about is the ANET A8. I mean, I'm up for almost anything. I'm just kind of the point where I need a second printer running all the time, because the MK2, it finished about, I don't know, just before the stream started, that print finished, and I just can't get enough stuff printed. I have so much stuff I need to print. But I think the Maker Noob recently did an A8 kit. And I was watching parts of his stream, which he has a great channel if any of you haven't checked him out yet. And it seemed like a nice printer. I think the frame in particular, even though it's pretty sure it was like cut acrylic, like laser cut acrylic, the frame, in all honesty, is stiffer, or it appears to be quite a bit stiffer than the frame on the MK2. So it seems like a solid printer overall. Like someone said, it's a printer that you should basically plan on doing some upgrades and stuff to. But the nice thing about like upgrading a printer is that you can do that in small steps over time. See, now then Gusner said the A8 frame sucks. That could be the case. I have admittedly not seen one in person. But like watching Maker Noob do his kit on stream, it seemed okay, especially for the price. Definitely for the price, because it is cut acrylic, but the way it's buttressed from different angles and stuff, it seemed very rigid, and it could be the case that over time, that'll start to flex and stuff a little bit, but. I mean, in all honesty, the MK2 frame flexes quite a bit. I will go for the Tron XY because it's precise and silent. Like, I don't know, it's kind of hard. It's kind of intimidating trying to decide on a printer. There's so many options available, and then for some of the options, there's like quite a few different equivalents across different like manufacturers and stuff. The nice thing is, since I do have an MK2, a second printer, it would be okay if it only printed PLA, because then I could have like that printer, just chugging away on a lot of the things I need printed out of PLA. And if I needed like flexible filaments or anything crazy, I can still print that on my MK2. Oh, my mouth's starting to hurt. You will support the zombie Pigglesby. That would be cool. I gotta say, that would be cool. Could always get a second Prusa. Yes, I could, but the thing is, for the cost of another MK2, I could probably get 2 other printers, or damn near 2 other printers. And like I said, I think there's a lot of fairly cheap printers on the market that are fine for just printing PLA. Like, obviously, the appeal of the MK2 is it'll print basically anything because it has a nice hot end and like a direct drive, and just in general is a fairly precise machine. So, like, that's definitely an appeal. But, like, just for printing, like, PLA and stuff, I think there's quite a few printers out there that will do that fairly well. And that's mainly what I need. Like, I just need a little workhorse to, to give me some slack with this MK2. Because I just have it running, like, 24/7. I know I mentioned tacking these in place, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think if we just make sure that the bottoms of these ears are brought up the whole way to that light pink, I honestly like looking at them. I don't think there's going to be any issues with colors matching. Because what is the price on the A8? Isn't it only like a $300 printer? No, like I said, Robo, that the print that's on there finished just before the stream started. I don't want to be stopping and starting a print. I can wait an hour and a half to get something else started. Plus, as soon as the stream's over, I need to record some videos anyway, and I don't like having the printer running while I'm recording. It's just like excess noise in the background. So yeah, if it runs 18 and a half hours, or what would that be, like 21 and a half hours out of the 24 hours today, I'm fine with that. That's still that's still being pretty efficient with time. I think that's good, guys. I think I'm honestly quite happy with that. I wish we could get the helmet to set in here. I guess we probably can. Without doing any damage. Yeah, check it out. He looks like a pig. And I think the few little problem areas we had are pretty easily covered up by the helmet. So I think overall he looks pretty sweet. It's nice and smooth. It's going to have a nice, like, soft, flat, kind of matte finish on his skin, so it should look sweet. And, like, obviously one of the most prominent features is going to be the armor and stuff. So as long as we do a nice job making that look cool, I think this will be a pretty sweet looking print. Very cool little pig dude. I don't think we scratched anything. Good to go. And like I said, I don't really want to mess with the ears. I think I'd rather let the paint. I think our colors are going to be fine because there's not too much variation across these pieces. So I think I'm going to let these ears dry on this piece. We'll set his face on here and let this dry. And then I'm going to really lightly hit this with some matte sealer so we don't end up scratching the paint at all before I move on to the next step or handle them anymore. Oh, my face is starting to hurt. It sucks with the Novocaine that your whole face is numb, but at least when it's numb, you don't feel pain. Oh, the A8's only like 165 Holy crap. I didn't realize. I knew it was cheap, but that's extremely cheap. Holy crap. Yeah, I might have to pick one of those up. Because even if it does like mediocre prints, there's still things that I could print on it. Like for instance, there's bases for these. I'm like B word fat over here with my mouth thumb. There's braces. Like the bases for some of these that are separate, and like none of the surfaces end up being visible because you glue the tiles together on top of them. Even for stuff like that, it would be nice to have a second printer. I could just print them out as long as they're reasonably accurate and stuff. That's all that would matter. How do you like your A-net, Aspie? Oh, darken the ears. We do want to do that. We can do that while we're sitting here, actually. Good call. We'll try that. We're going to dump most of this light pink out. A little bit of water in here. Yeah, we can darken these ears up a little bit. And actually, it probably would have been smart to do it the other way around and just do it the first go. Oh, I can see a blob of that purple paint in there, actually. That was probably what was causing our problem earlier. But it's like anything. Like I'm still trying to learn how to use an airbrush efficiently, so don't anyone be surprised if we find out ways that we could have done things better. Get that cleaned out, and we'll put a little bit of this paint back in. Well, or a lot of it. That was a pretty big blob we dropped in there. Quite a bit of thinner in there. And then try to stir this up a little better than we did the first time. But yeah, we don't want like super dark in the insides of these ears. I got paint on my little mat. No. Okay, so there we got our dark pink. We're going to set Pigglesby aside and grab him by the ear holes. Get this stuff out of our way. And we're going to just try to like make a subtle color transition inside these ears so it I can't talk. Differentiates them a tiny little bit. So it's going to be a little tough to see. We'll try to get an angle here where we can all see this. So we've got our dark pink flowing reasonably well. Oh, we're going to mess these up. I guess worst case scenario, we can just like recoat the light. But I'll do that. If I do screw that up, I'll do that on my own time so this stream doesn't get super long. So we're just going to start in the middle. I don't know if you can see that. A little bit darker. And we're just going to try to walk that darkness out to the edge. Oh, I got a little bit of a run there. Son of a biscuit. That's not what we wanted to do. Though it does give us a nice line there. I don't know if you can see it. It's a shame we couldn't get like a nice consistent run along there. Damn it. Why'd I have to do that? I knew I was going to mess them up trying to do this. I knew it. But we'll go ahead and finish it so we can get a little bit of experience doing this. No, the airbrush is sweet, because other than that little spot, I think that's like exactly what we're looking for. It has like a nice subtle transition here on this back part. I guess we can smooth it out a little bit more. You know, on the back side of the ear, we're able to get like a nice subtle transition in about the right shape, and then from the front it looks fine. We just got a little bit of a run up there in the tip. I wish I didn't have a shadow here. I need better lighting. There, I can see that spot better. But that's exactly what we're looking for, I think. That looks nice. It's subtle. It's kind of soft and organic, like on the backside there. It's like a nice soft transition. And then along that edge or that lip, we have like a hard edge. So from the front, it looks like nice and dark. Nice clean edge on the front. We'll try to do the second one a little bit cleaner. It is the nice thing about messing up. It's like once you mess a piece up, you're not afraid of messing it up anymore. Masking fluid. Yeah, well, I should have... Yeah. Learn as we go. Though, like, a spot like this, I shouldn't have to mask this. I should have just had better, like, brush control to begin with. Like, I think I'll be able to do this one just how I want it without any problems now that I have a little experience on the other one. If nothing else, it's beneficial to see me screw things up so people can learn how to do it the right way, right? Oh, I got runs in that. I think this is too thin. Son of a bitch. How the hell did I get runs in that? It's ridiculous. Well, yeah, minus the 2 runs I got in that, somehow. I guess I'm just getting a little too close. Nobody likes having the runs. But no, that one looks like we wanted it to. Again, nice fairly clean edge. You can see I got a little bit of a run there. But overall, I think that effect looks nice without masking it, because it makes the edges kind of like nice and natural instead of being a hard edge. Make a mask with your fingers. Yeah, I could have done that too. Though it wouldn't have saved me from the runs. It's not a sentence you want to be saying. Oh, I want to like... salvage that. Maybe we can. I doubt it. I'll probably... like, I think everybody that watches the stream will have the idea of... what's going on here. I'll just have to sand these a little bit to get that little raised area from those runs out, and then basically just do the same thing again, just with a little more sense the second time around. A lot of it's getting your paint to flow right. Like, this color doesn't really flow. In hindsight, I would have bought a pot of this color, but you can see from a distance they look correct. I think they'll look cool on the pig, because on the camera the difference between those two pinks looks a little bit. It's a little bit more striking of a transition than it looks like in person. Especially from like various angles. But overall, I think it's going to look very cool. Because the flesh in general is just going to be kind of like the backdrop that everything else is happening on with this model. So, like some of the techniques and stuff we use on painting the armor that I'm a little more familiar with. Is that a master? It's a master. I couldn't justify, like, starting out, I couldn't justify getting an Iwata, because I didn't know if, like, airbrushing was something I was going to be sticking with. So I just decided that I'm gonna use this for about a year, and if I'm still, like, interested in doing airbrushing, I'll probably buy, like, an Eclipse or something. Don't sand it, use a blurry cam instead. I've seen a couple YouTubers that utilize that technique. Because if your cam is like a little crappy, it makes things look great. But let's get the brush cleaned out a little bit. But no, overall I'm happy. Like having to go back and redo the ears is pretty trivial, I think. It'll probably take me 20 or 30 minutes, maybe this weekend if I get a chance. Because the nice thing is the head will be pretty much done at this point, and we'll basically set it aside until we get some of the armor done. Oh, we did forget the nose. Damn it. That's actually fine. I'll do that when I come back and do the ears again. But yeah, good eye. Jacksat. I forgot the nose. Well, there's a couple things. I need to have like a little thing to hook my hose on when I don't have it hooked to the gun. I need to have a little airbrush station. I need to have some slightly better materials here for keeping my tip clean. But I'm learning. Nice cocktail. It does kind of look like a cocktail. Looks like some kind of lady drink. But no, has anyone been inspired to print their own Sir Pigglesby? Like I said, it'd be cool to me if somebody else was doing this too, so I could see some like progress pics. Yeah, if only, Glenn. If only I had some kind of machine that I could print, like, I could create my own with. If only. One of these days when Earl gets his stuff done. Yes, Earl, I'm going to call. Like I said, I've just been so busy lately. I haven't had any free time at all. So, like, anytime I get, like, a moment of downtime, I just want to sleep. It's like this morning, I just wanted to lay in bed. I was up to, like, 3 o'clock last night and then had to get up at 5:30. So Red Bull has become, like, a staple in my diet lately. Just to, like, function. It's given me memories of being like 18 years old and working 70-hour weeks. How much for a kit like this? You mean for the airbrush? This one I think was only like $30, and it comes with the brush, 2 different needle and nozzle sizes, and this is the G233. The brushes themselves are fairly cheap. Cheek's not working right. The brushes themselves are fairly cheap. Like if you just want one like this to basically get an idea if you know, that like airbrushing is going to be something that you want to pursue. The part that sucks is the compressor. Buying a compressor kind of sucks because a decent one is several $100s. Like really, if you want a nice compressor that's going to last you for a long time, you're probably, what, Earl, looking at least $250, probably more than that, to get a nice, like, actually silent one. You can always go to like a home improvement store if noise isn't an issue, and get kind of like a regular compressor and just like use adapters and knock it down for like the small connectors and stuff that the brush actually uses. But if you want one that's like tolerable noise-wise, like I have sitting, because my compressor's only like 3 feet away and it's not obnoxiously loud. Did we have somebody spamming? I didn't even notice. But yeah, like the compressor I got, Insaniac said the compressor I got was $100 and the brush I got was $30. You can buy some of the kits, but I couldn't find any of the kits that actually had this brush with the multiple needle sizes. So I ended up buying the components separately. But yeah, it's like anything. There's a lot of like starter kits you can buy with like, yeah. Like Earl mentioned, if noise is not an issue, you're better off buying like a conventional cheap air compressor, because it'll probably last longer than the silent ones will. But they can be obnoxiously loud depending on how much tolerance you have for noise, or how your like living area or your living situation is. Because like we don't have neighbors, but like some of the times when I have to airbrush, it's like night, and I cannot have a regular compressor down here running while my wife and daughter are trying to sleep. There's no way. But no, some people, like at my dad's old house, he had a garage, and his compressor was actually outside in a little like shed, which helps mitigate the noise quite a bit. You can just like run your air lines inside. So it depends. It depends a lot on like what your circumstances are, how much things are going to cost. Ooh. Frederick, you need to bust that thing out, man. But if you can do that, if you can have your compressor like remotely located, you can get fairly sizable regular compressors for fairly decent price. And that's also something you can tend to find used ones. Like if you do a little bit of looking, there's probably someone near you that has a used one that they'd part with for a little bit of nothing. Always something to consider. The one you have is really small. Yeah, the silent, because I have a silent one too. It's right here. It's just like I said, it's not actually marked, but it's just like a master brand one. It's like a something 10 or 2 or something. I forget what the model number is. But it just has like a little 1-gallon tank on it, as opposed to being like a direct feed one. But it seems alright. It gets pretty hot. Like it's fairly hot after running today. I'm a little worried like how long it's going to last. I'm kind of tempted to pull it apart and lubricate it. See if that's maybe part of like why it's heating up so bad. Yeah, that's clean enough, I guess. Good enough for government work. Yours is like mine, but the tank. Yeah, because that compressor I have, they basically sell the same exact thing minus the tank, where you just like cable directly to it. And like there was mixed opinions on them. Like a lot of people say that it can cause like pulses in the air pressure as the pump kicks on and off. But I honestly don't know how true that is. I read that enough times that I was a little afraid of that, and it's why I ended up buying one with a tank. But I don't really know if that's necessary or not. I mean, the biggest and I'd make this suggestion with anything is if you have the ability to buy it somewhere where you can return it if you don't like it, I'd do that. Because then it makes like the overall risk a little, actually quite a bit less. Because like I got mine on Amazon, and if I would have hated it, I could have returned it. But at this point now, like the return period has ended, so I'm kind of stuck with it. All right, so we'll get this stuff cleaned up. But no, overall, I'm pretty pumped. We're moving Sir Pigglesby along. I think his face is going to look cool. This will especially look cool when I put some coats of matte varnish on it, because it'll really like even out the texture on this. Because there's some slightly different areas. Like there's some areas that are like super smooth, and then there's some areas that are a tiny little bit rough. And the matte varnish will really make the entire surface consistent. So yeah, super cool little pig face. And I'm going to leave the ears on there until I'm done painting them. We'll get them blue tacked together. And if anybody follows me on Twitter, I have been posting pictures of this if you want to like follow along and see any of the progress pics as things kind of happen. I got the helmet printed out yesterday. I'll probably run... I guess we'll go kind of sequentially. We're probably going to do like the little medallions and stuff last. After we get all the primary pieces kind of fitted and sorted out and sanded and stuff. So next we'll probably do the front half of the body and start taking a look at like how it fits with the head and the helmet and stuff, and start getting a plan together for finishing the armor pieces and stuff. What's the deadline on this? Oh, there's no deadline on this. We're just going to work on this periodically over the next few weeks and get it done. So, yeah, there's no deadline. Her birthday is in the end of June, so we've got quite a bit of time. And this isn't really going to be like a birthday gift or anything. She gets enough stuff. This is just going to be like something cool to give her. Since our grandparents spoil her with money like constantly, it's ridiculous. She needs more places to put it. What about a big aquarium pump? I don't know. You might be able to get away with that. I don't know if it has high enough air pressure. I would be kind of surprised if an aquarium pump had like 25 or 20 plus PSI. Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Like my grandmother gives her $1 every time she goes to the bathroom at her house. Which was like great when we were potty training her, but now it's just like she goes to the bathroom, she's like, hello. And then sometimes she'll like go to the bathroom and then 5 minutes later like go again. And it's like, she's just doing it to milk her for money. But yeah, oh god, my face is starting to hurt with the Novocaine wearing out. It's one way to potty train. Yeah, freaking kids, man. She was like totally potty trained like 6 months ago. Like 100%. She wouldn't like wet herself at night when she was sleeping. She wouldn't wet herself at nap time. And then she totally regressed about, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago. And it's like we went back to square one, where she was having accidents through the day. She was peeing like every night and wet in her bed. She was peeing at nap time. It was discouraging. All right. Well, I guess that's about it for today, unless anybody had anything they wanted to talk about. I'm having trouble talking. My face hurts. But yeah, if anybody has any opinions on what like I should get for my second printer, you can leave comments on this video. I am interested to get an A8 and just try it out because it is fairly inexpensive. And there are a ton of people that are interested in seeing that because it's under that magic number of $300. And I think with like a purchase price of $165, you could do several upgrades on that and still be under that $300 mark. Build your own. I would like to build my own MK2 like 3030. But I don't know. Hopefully in like a year from now I have like 6 or 8 printers. That would be nice. Yeah, the CR10 seems kind of cool. The CTC Prusa i3. Yeah, like I said, it's so overwhelming. There's so many printers out there. And I don't really have any experience outside of the Prusa. And like I think I'm kind of spoiled too with the Prusa. Insaniac. Yeah, I know I need to start doing reviews. I just like I'm so nervous about doing reviews. I want to make sure like I don't know. Figure out what 3D Maker Noob is doing to get review copies, then do that. Yeah, I know. It'd be nice. It really would be nice. Because I like if I did have a review copy, I would be printing the shit out of it. So I would pretty quickly get an idea of like how I felt about it. But I need to get off my ass and do my MK2 review. Because it's already to the point where the MK2S is out, so the MK2 review itself is kind of not super relevant. Though it will be nice to see the contrast between the 2 and the 2KS. Or MK2 and the MK2S. Spending loads of money, that's what Joe does. Yeah. Insaniac don't do reviews. What it ends up, yeah, it becomes like a semantic thing, but it ends up being like a review. Because like everything I do, it's like I had a company send me some files, and like I want to start reviewing file sets because it's something that I've like gotten a lot of. Like I've bought a lot of, and I've had companies start sending me file sets to review, and I have pretty strong opinions about some of them, both good and bad. So I'm interested to see if it ends up burning any bridges with me and some of the companies that sent me stuff, because there's a lot to talk about with things, and I'm like very upfront about how I feel about things, because it is an opinion. And I always tell people like don't take anything I say as gospel. It is just like my opinion. Do I restore consoles? Yes, I do, though I haven't done any in a few months. I was actually thinking of trying to get like some of the Genesis consoles that I have backed up here. I need to get some of those done and sold. Because I bought all the stuff to do AV mods and audio mods on them, and I just need to do it. Same with the Ataris. I have all the stuff. I got little boards made for the AV mods on those. I just need to do it. I think I should find something with a dual extruder. That would be sweet. There's a lot of things I would like to print with soluble supports. My mouth is not cooperating. Demand excellence. Yeah, it's like a mixed bag with some things, because I think there's a lot of things that, as far as like quality, they would be fine if the price point was slowly like lower. And then there's other things where the price point I think is okay, but the quality isn't what it should be as far as like printability and stuff of the files. Do I watch 8-Bit Guy? Yes, I do. I have. Again, it's been a few months since I've gotten into anything with retro gaming, but yeah, I used to. Like Cinemassacre, I haven't watched Cinemassacre in like months, and I used to watch them like immediately whenever they would release a video. It's been a little while. Used to watch. I can't think of his name. The CUP, Completely Unnecessary Podcast. I can't think of his name. Somebody here probably knows it. I used to watch him on a regular basis. Though, I mean, it's why I don't really want to talk politics, because it's like, I'm sure some of you have had this experience too. It's like you have a YouTuber that you really like watching, and then they'll like start talking about politics, and you're just like, it's like, I don't, like, there's nothing you can do about it. It's just like, I like you slightly less now that you've voiced your political opinions, because I couldn't disagree more. It just like ruins everything. Just buy the upgrade kit from Prusa. Yeah. Like I said in Saniac, there's some things, though, that I would be okay with a cheap printer and slightly lower print quality. Like, there's some prints where the actual finish of the print, like, just functional things, where I really don't care. I just need to get them printed. Some of the spinners are kind of like that. Like, for instance, the ones in, like, bronze fill. I don't really care what the print quality of those are, because you do so much, like, sanding and stuff on them that, like, a slightly lower quality isn't going to be the end of the world in the end. After getting the 2KS, or the MK2S, you'd never spend like 2-3. Yeah, I can't. I'm in the same boat. After like experiencing this and comparing it to people that have like $3,000 printers, like, I don't know how I could justify it, because for the most part, it seems like you don't have any fewer problems with a super expensive printer. Can you be good friends with someone that supports the opposing party? Yeah, definitely. I have friends that are on like both extreme ends of the political spectrum. Like, my family in general, like, we live in the mountains, man. We're like, they're mostly conservatives. And then I have friends that are about as far left as somebody could possibly be. And with both of them, I just kind of like, I don't know, the further you are on an extreme, the less likely I am to engage you in conversation about politics, because it just ends up being frustrating for everybody involved. SLA would be the only justification. Oh, I know. God, I can't tell you how many times I've like watched videos of people doing like SLA prints, and you see the final results, and you're just like, oh God, I need one of those. I need one so bad. Even the fairly cheap SLA printer that Angus was messing with a few weeks ago, the print quality was fantastic. I don't know if maybe that was a mono price, or maybe it was the Wanhao. I don't recall actually, but it was a fairly inexpensive one as far as like SLA printers go, and the results he was getting were pretty great. Oh, is that one of the clones? Is that one of the Eclipse clones? The Vita. Holy crap, it's only $30. Wow, that's pretty cheap. Yeah, I'll leave that up. I'll take a look at that. The Wanhao SLA is $500. Don't know if you'd want to deal with the resin vats. It's one of those things. I don't know. It does kind of suck. It's a lot more to deal with than just like throwing rolls of filament around. But you just have to adjust to it. It's like anything. I thought 3D printing in general was a little, I don't know. I don't want to say clunky. That's not quite the right word. You can hook me up with a Wanhao dealer for the D7. What's the D7? Is that an SLA? Wanhao D7. SLA isn't evolving quickly. It seems to be. It's like most technologies. Like the technology itself for SLA probably isn't going to change significantly just because like of the nature of it. But the cost of manufacturing those machines is probably going to come down pretty quickly. I would imagine. Look at FDM printers. Man, like even 5 years ago, if any of us were looking to get, something that would make prints like this, we're talking a lot more than $600, $700. Check out the Carbon M1. I'll try to check these out, but yeah, there's so many printers out there. It's crazy. Yeah, it's like that. The price of the resins is coming down slowly. It's coming down slowly, but it is coming down for sure. But no, it'd be interesting. I think we've touched on that before. I think it'll be interesting to see what Prusa Research does in the future here, like what the next printer they release is going to be. Because as far as I understand, they're going to cater more to the what am I trying to say? Like the commercial side, as opposed to like the I want to say residential. That's not really it, but you know what I mean. They're going to cater more to businesses than the home user. So it'd be interesting to see what their next machine's like. I can't really see them like venturing into the SLA or any of like the resin style printing. But it'll be interesting to see what their next FDM machine's like. You just struggle with printing. It is like a totally different bag having to like have alcohol baths and stuff for your prints and stuff, but man, the results though. There are some things like I would like to be able to print my own gaming minis, and like if I could do that, I'd pretty quickly be able to recoup the cost of the printer. And the print quality is just like fantastic. Wanhao will be sending you a 5S for review. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I had sent some emails out when I was like much smaller. Not that the channel's that big, but I'll have to do that again to see if I could get a couple review units. Because I'm definitely to the point where I could keep a couple other printers busy. For sure. And it's like a lot of the things I print already. There's a lot of stuff I'd like to be printing at lower layer resolution, but I just can't justify it because it ties the machine up for so long. It's like these dungeon tiles. I'd love to be printing them, especially the ones I'm going to use for videos. I'd love to be printing them at like, 50 microns. I'd love to do that, but I just can't justify the time. I can't justify having my printer tied up for 30 hours at a shot every day of the week. Or almost every day of the week. Direct UV printing. I could always get myself an Olo. Does anybody here have one or have one coming? I'm like dying to see how that thing works. I know that's been like going on. It's like drama that's been going on for a while now, but I got a big old high resolution cell phone. I think my phone screen is like damn near 4K resolution. Oh, guys, I gotta go. I gotta go take some Tylenol or something. My whole face hurts. But no, like I said, if anybody has any ideas or wants to hook me up with any dealers or anything, I will gladly accept a review unit, even if I'd have to send it back. If I could get to use it for a couple weeks and print some stuff with it, I would be more than happy to oblige. When are you going to set up the Octopi? I don't know, man. I have too many things to do. Duckwright, you're correct. Printing them at 50 isn't what most people's going to be doing. That's why the vast majority of them, I print them at 200 microns. I think it's a much more realistic representation of the machines that most people are going to have access to. And I think it gives you a better perspective too, because it becomes readily apparent that some of the files handle 200 microns way better than others. Like, I mean, just to throw some names around, the Dragon Lock tiles handle thicker layer height much better. They look better even at like a lower resolution. And then some of the other ones, they don't look very good unless you print them at least like 150, like at least. And they look much better, obviously, if you print them at like 100. But man, they're even at 200 microns, they're slow. The tiles are slow to print. Like, you're roughly looking at 2 to 3 hours per tile, even at like 200 microns. And that's bumping the MK2 up to like 45 millimeters a second, which any more than that, and you start to get like rounded corners and stuff a little bit on some of the tiles, which becomes a problem. But yeah, it does. You're absolutely right. It makes for a little bit more realistic review. But yeah, I need to go rest my face, guys. Plus, the designers can design for. Yeah, that's true. You need to get your stuff out. Well, I say that you are kind of waiting for me, so. Yeah, maybe I'll give you a call this evening. I need to take a nap. My face hurts. What speed do I usually print on, by the way? I try to stay at like 40 millimeters a second. With Simplify, it's hard to tell exactly what your print speed's going to be because of like it automatically scales the speed back. So it's your actual printing speed isn't 40 millimeters. On most things, I'll bump it up to 45 because it makes almost no difference in the print quality and does cut a little bit of time off the prints. But I've printed a fair amount of stuff at 50, and it fares okay, but creeping up much more than that, and like I said, you start to notice like some rounded corners and stuff, which some things it doesn't matter, but like when the dungeon tiles, like the fit can get a little, like you need to do a little more sanding than you'd otherwise need to do. But no, 40 is good if you can justify the print time. But like I said, those freaking dungeon tiles, even at 40 and 200 micron layer height, they're slow. They're a little slow. Like I said, it's average 2.5 to 3 hours per dungeon tile, and if you're doing a layout of any size, it adds up. It really does add up. That's why I say my printer runs like 24/7. And it shows I got a shitload of tiles and stuff, but I need more. But anyway, guys, I need to rest my face. I need to take some Tylenol. As always, like, thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for watching some progress on Sir Pigface here. I do have a lot of high hopes for him. He's going to look really cool. I think it's going to be cool. I just hope we can get the armor sanded. The armor is going to be so much more work to get all these different areas sanded, all these like rivets and stuff dealt with. So I wouldn't be surprised if the finish on this isn't quite as nice as his face. But being that if these aren't organic, I guess it does make a little more sense. A little more tolerable. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Hopefully it wasn't too frustrating watching me struggle with the airbrush and getting it clogged and stuff. I probably will cut this stream down. Like this last hour, we were just like shooting the shit. I'll probably chop this off because a lot of people are just following along to see how Pigglesby goes. So don't be surprised if this is chopped up. But we'll see you next time. What's today? Thursday? Yeah, probably won't stream anymore this week. So more than likely Tuesday, and then obviously like Friday video. Hopefully one Saturday. I don't know. I'm falling behind again. But yeah, peace everybody. Thanks for stopping by.